We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Vikings Uncensored. We are back off of our little 2-week hiatus, and we are here, and things are about to get even crazier and probably stupider than they have been for the last 2 weeks as the legal tampering period opens on Monday with free agency officially starting on Wednesday. So a lot of stuff to go over, a lot of players to talk about, latest rumors and stuff that is pissing off one or the other of us, and God knows what all else. But we'll just play off of that, play off you guys in the chat. Good evening, Ant, Nick, Dave, Norsefius, Gary, George, all you guys. Good evening. Welcome back. Welcome to the chat. Bob, and if I missed you, good evening as well. But yeah, it's, we were kind of hoping it was going to be a quiet couple of weeks, and it would have been a quiet couple of weeks if you stay off of social media. We'll put it that way. Because some of this ungodly I'm going to rant real quick just because of this. Some of this ungodly, stupid stuff. And it's not just your normal aggregators and, the people that just put shit out for clicks and stuff like that. It's guys like Ian Rappaport and people like that are out there doing this garbage about the one time you read something, Sam Darnold has no chance of coming back to Minnesota. 20 minutes later from the same fucking person.
I was going to say a Rappaport
got all that back. Sam Darnold a multi-year contract, and they're going to build around him, and they're going to trade J.J. McCarthy to the fucking Raiders. But that's not going to happen because earlier this afternoon, the Seattle Sea Chickens traded Geno Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders for a third-round pick, reuniting him with Pete Carroll. So, okay, got that off my chest because there are some people on Twitter X that I wanted to high-five in the face with a chair this last week.
And then as many years as we've been doing this, it's always this time of year, and then right before the fucking season, or right before training camp, when all this bullshit starts to come out of the woodwork, all these fucking reports and stuff. Especially in the last 2 years, it's been pretty bad up here in Minnesota with the rumors mill.
Well, and the thing of it is, I see people all this talking. The Vikings are saying that they want Darnold back and all this and everything else. They did the exact same thing with Kirk Cousins last year.
Yes.
It's called, we know you're moving on. We're moving on because we've got something else set up. And we're going to help try to drive the market up for you a little bit.
Yeah, they're doing Darnold a solid here by this.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing with Kirk. And if you go back and you look at the P's and Q's, it all adds up. Same thing as last year, like Rhino was saying with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, my apologies, Nick. Yes, the Rainy City Bitch Pigeons, yes. I've been calling them that for a long time, but yes. And I just had to get it off so we can get on with the show. And get away from that. But there is so much of this Sam Darnold stuff. Earlier in the week, Vikings fans were pissed off because the Vikings were not franchise tagging Sam Darnold and then for 41 million guaranteed and then trading him. And then they turn around now 2 days later and it's like there's no market for Sam Darnold, so he might re-sign with the Vikings for $15 million. Make up your fucking mind. God. Jeez, I'm swearing more than you tonight.
Well, honestly, it's like we said earlier, and we've said this before. Quessy and KOC have had a plan, and they've stuck to it 100% of the time, unless they've had something come up that you couldn't predict, and you had to make a move somewhere along the line. This has been the plan all along. Go a year with Kirk, and then move on and get your franchise guy. It just so happens that our franchise guy tore his meniscus, which was also a story that got blown out.
No. His leg fell off and it got eaten by the neighbor's chihuahua.
Exactly.
Poor guy's going to go out there on a prosthetic leg and try to play.
This has been the plan all along, and having to go out and get Darnold has always been just a bridge quarterback to J.J. McCarthy. Yep. This is officially J.J. McCarthy's team now, 100%.
Good evening, Dean. Good evening, Disgusting Act. Welcome, boys. Glad you all could join us. Yeah, it's Sarah. Good evening. Yeah, exactly. We've had several discussions about that in our Purple Gang Vikings chat group on Twitter X about this. Yeah, people were going again with the fire Quasey because he didn't franchise tag Sam Darnold and trade him for a first or second round pick or whatever. The Vikings aren't. I mean, nobody's going to pay Sam Darnold $41 million a year, and they sure as hell aren't going to give up a draft pick for it. For Sam Darnold, as much as he did during the regular season to try to rid himself of the stench of Jets and Panthers Sam Darnold, those last two games of the year against Detroit and against the Rams, it flushed it all down the toilet.
There's something I want to... The only way this is happening right now is if Daniel Jones ends up walking somewhere. That's the only possibility I see this happening. And if he does come in, it will be for backup position only.
Honestly, if Daniel Jones doesn't come back, Gardner Minshew is now available.
Right.
I know our buddy Ted Glover's been a big fan, and I'm on that boat too. I would bring Gardner Minshew in as a backup quarterback in a, probably know all that the combine couldn't go and yeah, exactly, Dave. And
great comment.
Yep. If you follow our friend Thor Nystrom on Twitter X, he is. I trust Thor. I mean, the guy knows his shit, and right. He's saying stuff he heard at the combine is that the Viking. There's almost zero chance Sam Darnold's coming back with the Vikings.
He's not coming back.
No, the only way Darnold would come back is if nobody else wants him. Absolutely nobody else off,
and to take the backup role. He ain't coming back as a starter again unless something was drastically happen to McCarthy again, which is not going to happen.
Right.
He's not coming back as a starter again. I will tell you that right now.
And the Vikings have even said that, yeah, we would like to bring Sam Darnold back, but if he's coming back, it's coming back to compete.
Too much of a circus. Much of a circus.
No, that's why you you thank Darnold for last year. You let him walk. You help drive up his price, which is what they're doing.
This has been the plan all along.
Yep.
All along.
And I think Daniel Jones probably wants to come back, for a year.
I think the market's out there for him. I don't know if I can really rely on that happening, him coming back.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, somebody could overpay for a quarterback because, like we said, the draft class is not.
A lot of these commenters are coming up with some good names that I could see coming in, but they are going to be potentially backups. This is J.J. McCarthy's team now.
Yeah, the quarterback. I mean, I'm seeing the stuff too that people throwing it out there that the Vikings would bring Kirk Cousins back.
No,
absolutely not.
I like Minshew in a backup role.
And that's what any quarterback coming in here is going to be.
Yes.
They are going to be J.J. McCarthy's backup, and that's it. They've still got Brett Rippon on the practice squad. He's QB3. They would be bringing in a QB2.
Yes.
And that's it. Honestly, yeah, like I said, Ant, I know you're. Yeah, I would love to have Minshew as a backup quarterback. I just like Minshew just because he's Gardner Minshew. But
he brings a good personality to the locker room, and he's not a bad quarterback in spot duty.
No, and he's like you said, he's a good teammate. He's a good dude. People like him. And he can go win you a game or two here and there if you need it. But anyway, off of the quarterback stuff for a little bit. There's a lot of other stuff that's gone on here this week. Just some big names that are moving around. Cincinnati Bengals tagged T. Higgins, so he's not going anywhere. This one is kind of big on the Vikings because apparently the Vikings were going to be in on this guy. They were talking about stuff at the combine. The Chiefs tagged guard Trey Smith, so he is not going to be a free agent. I think Dave had it on, or Tyler had it on his show earlier this week, something about the Vikings were asking about him a little bit or something back and forth. I forget what it was. Dave, you can correct me. Something about checking medicals or something. It's been a long week, and I'm trying to remember everything that's going on. But yeah, anyway, Trey Smith is off the board. And
I've been a big advocate of Fries this whole time.
Yep, I am too. And
Fries would make me happy.
He would, and then bring his running mate Ryan Kelly in along with it at center.
Yes, echoing. Yes.
I know
we can't get Kelly, it sounds like Dahlman's going to be asking for the house.
Yeah, and Dahlman's a decent center, but he's not worth what the kind of
big-time contract.
He's not. I don't think he's worth the kind of money that he's going to be asking for. Ryan Kelly, I think, is a more reasonable.
And the fact that we'd be bringing in Fries too would maybe entice Kelly a little bit more. I mean, I think we're a sought after destination for a lot of these guys.
Yeah,
and I think just the fact of bringing in Fries and then that might entice Kelly or either or to come as well.
Yeah, discussing act, Patrick McCarry from Baltimore. He's another guy I've got on the list of potential targets. Here we'll going to hit that in a little bit. Yeah, Tevin Jenkins sounds like. I mean, the Bears went and traded for Laramie Tunsil and who was the other one that they grabbed? Jonah Jackson from the Rams. So they've got two new guards. Tevin Jenkins is going to hit the market.
Wasn't it Pugh that went to?
No, it was Joe Tooney. Sorry, not Laramie Tunsil.
Okay, yeah. So we were both. Yeah. Okay. Yes. There we go.
Yeah. I couldn't find it in my notes over here, but
we got it right.
So they bumped that up. It was a 4th round pick for Joe Tooney and a 6th round pick for Jonah Jackson. I know there was a bunch of people that were pissed off that, we could have got either one of these. Well, Jonah Jackson got benched last year. They paid him this big contract, and then all of a sudden they can't wait to get rid of him. So, if the Rams don't want him, Kevin O'Connell's not going to want him because, of the ties there and the similarities and all that stuff.
There are some good-looking names coming out in free agency that entice me, and I'm sure entice the organization as well. One
that I was kind of hoping we could have been in on, and he didn't stay on the market very long, was Alex Kappa. The Bengals cut him, but then the Raiders turned right around and they signed him for 2 years, $11 million. I mean, that's a damn good money deal for Alex Kappa.
Yes, it's a good deal.
I'm
not sold on Jenkins either.
I'm not either. Tooney's a little long in the tooth, George. Yeah, he is, and that's why I wasn't really in on him. Jackson's hurt a lot. Yeah.
Leading into this talk about the free agency is basically this: if we can hit on our needs in free agency and at least plug some holes that way, it opens up a lot of things for us in the draft. If we can go and grab, say, 2 starting interior offensive linemen, 1 starting interior defensive linemen, possibly 2 of them high contracts, 1 of them mid-range contract. Grab a corner. Maybe Shaq Griffin wants to come back. You grab him, and then go from there. And then that, to me, would be a successful free agency for us.
Yep. Ryan, AJ, good evening. Welcome back to the show. Would have grabbed me, had more picks. Yeah, I mean, you could have traded 2026 picks, but
That's just it, though. We don't have those picks. And I think, the wheeling and dealing as far as picks goes, I don't see a lot of that happening this year for us.
yeah, Dave with the great point here had nothing to trade, and there's still
Right.
free agencies.
Yes.
Yep. And that's the thing. You don't, if there's guys that you like out in free agency and you've got,
That's what I'm saying.
Cap space is one thing you do have. Draft picks you don't. So
that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of guys. We got a bunch of them looking on the list here. There's what else do we got? A couple other big names that were interesting. Joey Bosa got cut by the Chargers. Of course, you got Vikings saying, "Well, let's go get him. Let's go get."
I like the depth that we have right now.
We have edge rushers, and Joey Bosa is hurt constantly. No,
we have good depth there. I'd be more intrigued by somebody along in the interior linebackers.
We need interior guys. Like I said, I'm all in on Milton Williams coming out. As once free agency hits, he's not going to re-sign with Philly the way it looks.
The big name that was just released, Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen he would be my number 2 guy because my biggest
thing. Get him on a 2-year deal, perfect Questy type of deal.
Yeah. Milton Williams is 5 years younger than Jonathan Allen, coming off that first contract, so he kind of fits that. He's
going to
get a big deal because his Super Bowl drove up. The way the last 2 games for Darnold dumped his salary expectations. Milton Williams has went up because of how he played in the Super Bowl. Yeah, disgusting. If every Milton Williams would get a Puna Ford. Not on board with paying Milton $25 a year. Yeah, 25 is a little steep.
Sarah. Yeah. He's gonna be asking for a big chunk of money. I think we go after Jonathan Allen. You can get Jonathan Allen on a better deal. Milton Williams is going to be commanding a lot of money, and then you go and you address 2 of your offensive line spots, and you can get one good blockbuster deal done, and then pick somebody. I don't think Fry's going to be asking a lot of money.
No, I mean, he'll get good money.
Or
but
Kelly, Kelly. I don't think Kelly's going to be asking for a lot of money. Fry's might get I think mid-tier to upper tier type of contract, but
yeah. Kenneth Grant, Sarah. Yeah,
I think still go and draft Kenneth Grant after you plug these holes. That's what gives you the opportunity to go out and get the best guys you can get on draft day.
You fill your main holes, then you go BPA, whether it be
exactly
tackle, whether it be cornerback, whether it be offensive lineman, all of that.
And we have the cap to be able to. The vision is there to me for this organization. Yeah, because Wesley's playing chess.
I don't know if that Milton Williams gets quite 25 because Oduzier in Dallas just re-signed 4 years, $80 million. So he got 20. That's probably about where Milton will be, 20 to 21, I would think. Gary, that's a great point here. Gary, I was going to start on those guys. Byron Murphy. Earlier this week, he posted a highlight video of all of his Viking stuff on his Instagram account, which kind of led a bunch of people to believe that, maybe that a signing was imminent. Now, today it sounds like he's going to hit free agency. Theo Jackson signed a 2-year, $12.6 million contract here day before yesterday. First 2 years fully guaranteed. That's a contract for somebody who's going to be playing significant snaps.
I said it last episode. Theo Jackson's been the plan all along. He's the predecessor to either Harrison Smith or Cam Bynum. I love Cam Bynum, but if he walks, he's an average safety. You can go out and get a guy like Cam Bynum.
Well, and they talked a lot with Bynum too, and they couldn't cut. They just said yesterday that they two couldn't come, to common ground. So, yeah, Bynum's gonna go out test free agency. He may go out and find out that the market's not what he thinks it is. He may come back. We don't know yet. not paying Murphy $20
No,
million. I'm
no.
not. I'm not either, Sarah.
And
And if you look at
he doesn't play
Spotrac, they're
the
saying
outside.
$2 million.
He doesn't play the outside well.
No,
And you
he's
can't
a
be
slot
spending
corner,
20
and
million, 20 million on a dude that's played primarily slot where he's made his bread and butter.
yeah, I don't pay that kind of money for a slot corner. If that's the case, if he walks, then you go draft a Jahdae Barron or somebody like that that can play. And we'll start talking about draft picks and stuff here in the next week or so. But yeah, I think a guy like we start looking. DJ Reed is out there. He's a guy that I think would fit in here quite well. Carlton Davis is out there, another good one. Javarius Ward.
If you
Any of
can go
those
up,
guys.
if
Most
you
of
can go
those
up,
guys are all outside corners though.
yeah.
So we
But
would you go get one of those guys and then you focus
well,
on
I'm
and we
gonna tell
still
you what.
got Makai
Blackman
and you've got Nudie McGlothern and those guys
Boom,
that
McGlothern. I'm gonna tell you what. In the limited snaps that McGlothern had this past season, he looked good. He didn't look
yeah,
lost. He played well.
those
I
couple
think the
games.
key is getting Shaq Griffin back on a decent deal again if he's
Yep.
willing to take it. But I mean, my price range for a corner right now, if I'm looking at the salary cap, and we're all talking about like how this money we're looking at it like it's our money. Like everybody in the comment section is going off right now about that.
Yep.
But 14 million right there is probably about where I'm sitting at, where I want to spend on a upgrade to this defense on the corner. I don't want to really go much higher than 14 million per season for one of these guys that can come in and play. And I'm thinking that's
Yeah,
about
I
right,
mean,
right around the range that we can get get one of these guys for that.
yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the outside corners, yeah, your DJ Reeds are probably going to be in that 14 to 16 million somewhere in there, I suppose. Ward probably about the same. Davis, you might get a little bit cheaper. But yeah, you get any of these guys, and yeah, like you said earlier, if you could bring Shaq Griffin back on the other side, then I think you're golden. And you do that, and they might not even be looking at cornerback early in the draft because like you said, they like McGlothern and they like Blackman. So
We do need that. We need to have somebody in there though that has that veteran presence.
yeah, absolutely, you can't go in there with starting three, two guys that have barely played,
Right.
and then go draft a rookie that hasn't played. So Um, yeah, so you got that safety. We still don't know what Harrison Smith is doing. Signs are all pointing to he's going to probably run it back one more year.
I feel like he's going to come back. I really do. And the fact that there's really no concrete answer suggests to me that that's probably going to be the case.
Yeah.
The dude is still playing at a high level. He's not a liability back there playing safety, and he brings a lot of experience and really, I'm sure, is great for these young guys, especially.
Good evening, Reg. Welcome back. Yeah, I think, and when Flores first got hired as a defensive coordinator, we both said at that point in time that Harrison Smith was made for that type of a defense. And he's 35 years old, but he, like you said, he played well last year.
He's not a liability at this point. He's not just on the field because his name's Harrison Smith.
What's wrong with Ryan Wright, Ant? He kind of sucks.
He's too up and down for me,
And so, yeah, they are at least, Wright is a free agent, and I've heard a lot of rumors that if they can find anybody else, they're probably not bringing him back.
Yeah, punters are really a dime a dozen. I mean, when does a punter really destroy a team? I don't mean to wish no bad karma or nothing, but you can go out and get a punter. There is always somebody out there.
Yeah, I mean, not hard to figure out, but trying to see what else we got. Okay, we talked about Murphy. We talked about Bynum. Been pretty quiet on most of the other fronts. Hasn't been anybody re-signed except Theo Jackson, which kind of surprised me a little bit. I thought maybe some of these lower tier guys would have at least signed deals, but I suppose they're kind of waiting to see.
I think Theo Jackson's going to be the same type of mold as the way they used Metellus his first couple of years coming out very sparingly, and then third year he kind of hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You know,
And
might
like you
not be
said,
the same. That might not be the same type of Swiss Army knife that Metellus is, but the same type of learning curve that they kept him on.
no, yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, you already got your Swiss Army knife in Metellus. Theo Jackson can step in, I believe, and play that Cam Bynum role.
I'm going to say this right now. People want to shit on Dallas Turner in the season that he had, but the same thing's going on there with him, and he's had the luxury of being able to sit behind a couple of guys more than capable of coming in and starting every Sunday. Dallas
Well,
Turner's going to shine. He's going to shine. It's just a
yeah,
matter of
and
time.
I mean, you also had Pat Jones, who had 7 sacks last year, playing ahead of him for most of the time. I mean, Pat's most likely signing somewhere else. I don't see them pay. Somebody's going to pay him pretty good money just because he put up that number. And, Turner's going to be the first rotational guy next year. It's just the way it's going to be.
It
Gary with a good
depends on how
question here.
training camp rolls out. Maybe the rotation's more like 50-50, you know?
Yeah. All right. People think we have so much cap cash. Most have had no. Why would you rather spend on 3 or 4 high end free agencies or 6 or 7 solid players?
I would say you'd be able to get 2 high end players and then 4 solid players with the rest.
Yeah.
You
And
know, a
and
mixture of both.
that's kind of what I was thinking. You make a splash with, a an offensive line. Actually, I think you could make a splash with 3 guys. I think you get a cornerback. I think you go get either like a Milton Williams or a Jonathan Allen, and then you go get at least 1 guard. Ideally, I mean, I don't know. Would you consider Ryan Kelly a splash signing at center?
No, no, not
So
at this
yeah,
point in his career.
so he would be one of those. Yeah, because he's 32
He'd be
years old or
definitely an
whatever.
upgrade over what we have right now. I'll tell you that, though.
You and I are damn near an upgrade over what we've got right now. But Ryan
I mean,
mentioned it in the chat earlier. About being done with Brad. We've been done with Bradbury for
since we started the show,
yeah.
um, I think Flores has a lot to say. I think a lot of say. I
Talks
love
here,
the
good
way
evening.
this organization communicates as far as when it goes out, especially proving it this past season and going out and getting free agency guys. And now that we have the cap, I think we're gonna nail it in free agency with these guys. Look
Mm-hmm.
what we did last year with what little we had. I think we can go out and repeat exactly what we did last year in this free agency this year.
Yeah. So speaking about you talking Quasey, let's switch gears for just a minute and talk about him. What do you make of the idea that he has not gotten his extension yet?
I'm not really worried. I think the extension comes after the draft or before training camp, in my opinion. I mean, you could let him go out the last year without giving him an extension. I think he deserves one, but I think a lot of it comes down to what we see and how this draft goes this season.
Yeah, it's kind of, I thought that they would have him signed by now, but
Yeah,
it looks like they're going to be, going to want to see what he does with this free agency class and what he does with the draft class.
I mean, I think a lot of these guys that we have drafted are just still developing, and we've just had the depth. I mean, it proved enough that when KOC came in, he was able to inherit a team that he turned it into a playoff team right off the bat. So the depth was, I mean, the starters
Yeah.
were already there. So the guys that
Well,
have brought in are just developing behind the guys that were already there and are now moving along.
well, and that's the thing, people rip on Quasey because of that first draft, and rightfully so. It was awful.
Yeah, it was. I agree as
But,
well.
he's done a masterful job getting us out of that salary cap purgatory that we were in. That draft class, or I mean, the free agency class from last year was absolutely gold star.
I think this might be a little crumb to think about too, but the fact that when KOC signed this new extension on his contract, it was also written in the terms that he's going to have more say when it comes to the people that we bring in as far as the draft goes.
Well, and it was the interesting, that at the combine, Quasey did his press conference. Then the next day, he was, battling an illness, and Kevin O'Connell was leading all the interview kind of stuff, which I thought was kind of interesting. But
Maybe he'll be a little bit more behind the scenes now. Who knows? I mean,
maybe.
but A lot of what happens with the extension with Questy is going to really hinge on how we do this draft.
Mm-hmm.
A
Ant's
lot of
talking.
fans expect these guys that we draft to come out right away and have amazing years or start right away outside the gate when we've been able to being afforded the luxury of letting these guys truly develop on the sidelines with as well as getting some reps throughout the season.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Ant's asking about Najee Harris. Yeah, I've heard that rumor too that the Vikings like Harris and would be in on him if they want Aaron Jones back, but if Jones goes elsewhere, then they would be in on Najee Harris.
we talked pretty in depth about that running
We
back
did. You know,
situation.
I'm not a huge Najee Harris. I mean, yeah,
I
he's a good player,
I
but
think given the right circumstance and the right situation, I think Najee Harris could be a top running back in this league.
I mean, he's had 1,000 yards rushing every year that he's been in the league, which is
It's
nothing
just
to sneeze at.
people expect more, and I believe that there is more there. I believe he has that explosive capability, but it has just not really been given, but not been in the right spot for that to happen.
Yeah, but unless we fix the offensive line, this isn't the
I
right
know,
spot for it
I
either.
know. Yep, that's a great point.
So, yeah, Norsefius would rather draft a
I like
running back.
I like Reggie's little comment there too as well. Oh yeah,
uh,
same thing. Yeah, yep, same thing.
I don't. I mean, I like Scatabo. I'm not as
There's
high on
so
him as
many
a
good
lot of
backs
people
coming
are.
out. This is probably the best running back draft class in the last 10 years. To be honest, if you go back and you watch the combine, this is going to be a huge. This is going to have a lot of good running backs coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. I think he would be there that we could pick.
The spellback from Ohio State I like a lot too. He used to skateboard, so you got that footwork. They got that footwork there with that, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so many good running backs coming out. I would
Yep.
Donovan Edwards is another good one.
Yep.
Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, I mean Donovan Edwards really isn't that breakaway. But, we've talked about the need for a guy that has that home run hitting ability. Harvey out of UCF, I like him in the mid rounds. I think he's sneaky good. I think that could be
I
a
think
pretty decent player in the league.
I think if we trade back and pick up a second rounder, you go after somebody like Caleb Johnson. That would be a great pick in the second round.
Yeah. Norsefius is in on the Quint Allen from Syracuse, best receiving back in the draft. And that's a thing you got to remember. We got to find a guy that's able to catch the ball because KOC loves to throw that.
That's just it. Yes, you need that dual threat at running back.
Yep. Yeah. RJ Harvey, the kid out of UCF. That's him. I'd like him in the mid. If we're picking, one of our 2 5th-round picks or something like that, I think that's about where he's probably going to go.
Tootin's got a lot of speed too.
Yeah.
He's a burner. But yeah, there's so many good running backs coming out this year in the draft. Like I said, I think it's one of the best running back drafts in the decade,
right?
As far as prospects go.
Yeah, it has been, and the pendulum is starting to swing back towards more running backs again.
We said that last episode too. Yeah, that, and that's funny how that works. How the pendulum swings like that.
Well, Saquon Barkley just signed a 2-year, $41.2 million extension. $36 million of that guaranteed, plus $15 million in incentives. So I mean, now granted, Saquon Barkley had a hell of a season. I mean, he almost hit Dickerson's record. Probably would have if they hadn't sat him on during the last game.
A lot of these guys that went out on what you would think would be, end of the road deals went out and performed very well this year.
Yeah. Yeah, Martinez, I like him too. Disgusting act. Like I said, there's just so many of them that are going to be available in that 4th through 6th round. That they should, unless somebody like an Ashton Gianti or somebody happens to fall. You don't have to take a running back early. Yeah, but I know I'd like Caleb Williams. I wouldn't be mad if they took him early. But it's all going to depend on what they do in free agency as to what if they don't get a defensive tackle or if they're short a cornerback or somebody like that, they're going to prioritize that more than they would be taking a running back.
There's so much.
Vikings have met with Gianti at the combine. They like him. I mean,
Right.
Obviously, pretty much every team likes him, but he's not getting anywhere near us. I don't think, Dallas is there. I've heard Chicago might be in on him. How does the
Yeah, Tutin's very like Michael Bennett esque.
Yeah.
Just pure speed.
Yeah, and if if you're just a Michael Bennett, I don't really want you.
No, I don't either.
You know, Speed is great, but you have to have more than just straight line speed.
That's a good comparison to Norris, Ty Chandler.
Yeah.
I
We
think
and
we,
we
we, we need somebody with that combination of both and that
Yeah.
can catch the ball out of the backfield. And
Oh yeah. If you can't, and that's part, that and pass protection. That's what's soured him
pass
on Ty.
protection's been a huge thing the last as far as long as KOC's been here, is coming at the running back position especially.
Yeah, well, that's what's soured him on Ty Chandler because he hasn't been able to pass protect.
Right.
He can catch the ball and he can, he's a decent running back, but his pass pro has struggled, and that's why he got, they brought Cam Akers back in. Um,
I
you know,
think
I
I'm almost ready for a complete reset at the running back position, to be completely honest with you, Rhino.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I know
Completely.
they like Aaron Jones, and having Jones in as a rotational back.
I just feel like Jones is. I feel like say this is your fuel tank, and I feel like he's floating right around that and I don't think he's going to have it again this year. In all respect to Aaron Jones and all that, but
Yeah,
we ran the piss out of Aaron Jones this season. I think he had the most touches he's ever had in his career here,
most yards too. Yeah, I mean,
and the
so
fact that he cannot stay healthy an entire season, it's fluttering right around E for me on Aaron Jones.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
you hit the complete reset at running back position. Maybe hang on to Ty Chandler, but even so, if we don't, I would be ready to move along with two new guys. One of them being a veteran, like Najee Harris or whomever that might be, and then a guy that we pick up in the draft somewhere along the way.
Yeah, trivia. I don't see them drafting two running backs just because we've
No,
only got 4 draft picks right now. Uh,
I just got a feeling unless the guy that we want is there at that our pick, we're going to be trading out of that spot and
mhm.
accumulating other picks.
Additional depth at inside linebacker.
I agree. I was mentioning
Yeah,
that earlier.
yeah. There is a need. I could very easily see them bringing back Grugier Hill. I mean,
I would not be opposed to that. He played well.
he played
A
well
lot.
when it. Yogi, good evening. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, I thought Grugier Hill did a very nice job filling in for both Cashman and Pace when they were out this year. Uh, I think he can probably be had fairly reasonably, and I think they like him
I
enough to
agree. I
where,
think it'd be a team friendly deal. I could see him coming back on something like that.
yep. And Awesome was gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't think. I mean, they're not going to give him any kind of money. Henderson gives you Jameer Gibbs vibes. If we could get a Jameer Gibbs on this team, I'm all for that.
Yeah. Once again, so many great looking guys coming out in the running back class this year.
Yep, and we'll talk about the running backs here in a couple of weeks. We're going to start doing player breakdowns of guys we like, and we're not going to go quite as in depth as our buddy Drew always does with his big board, but we may borrow a little bit from him as the time goes along too, just because his board is always so good.
Yeah, and I always value his opinions, especially.
Yep. And so we may tap into Drew a little bit for some of this stuff, but Awesome was a special teamer.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Yeah. I expected more out of him, especially
I did
when
too.
Flores came in here, and it just never developed.
No, no, he's one of those guys for sure that
Yep.
just didn't pan out.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're looking here. We got a lot of positions we got to fill. We looked, a couple weeks back when we what was it, 29 free agents we have on the team right now.
Yep.
So a lot of these guys
We're
got,
gonna be going from being one of the older teams to being a lot younger coming into next season.
unless we fill some of these spots again, like Quasey likes to do with these 1 to 2 year deals.
And as long as you pick up the right guys in free agency, if that's what works, then that's what works, And then that allows you to get the most out of these guys that you pick in the draft.
Yeah, draft stock
Eventually
is
down the
low.
road.
How set are you on trading back? How far? It all depends on what kind of offers you can get, Gary. I think like
Does
Lance
somebody
was
want to
talking.
trade back in for like a dart, back into the end of the first round so you can get dart on the 5-year option,
Yeah, I mean, or you go, somebody that's sitting at the Chiefs or the Eagles or somebody like that that are sitting in that 30 to 28 to 32 that see a guy up there that they like and they want to go up and get. Yeah, you know I'm not, I guess, opposed to trading completely out of the first round.
At this point this year, I would not be opposed to it. In other years, yeah, but the fact that we need more than just 4 picks, in my opinion, and if we can get a couple more mid-round picks, a lot of the meat potatoes fall to those mid-round picks, and you can find some decent
Mm-hmm.
guys that are in there.
I mean, it's very possible you could trade that first round pick, for an early second, an early third, or something. Just to, and again, a lot of it depends on who's sitting there when we come. If there's somebody that we absolutely freaking love, and
Then you take him, and then
you,
and if you plug those holes, like we said earlier in free agency, and there's somebody there that you absolutely love, best player available, then you fucking take him.
yeah, yeah, Drew's hit rate, yeah, is usually over 85%.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly, and that's you know that's the thing. He's always been, the man puts in the work. He does
And he's
the
been doing it for years. Even
mm-hmm.
before Vikings Report, he was doing his big boards.
Yep, he used to do it back on the Good Morning Gallarhorn and stuff back in the old days with Dave and company. So yeah, it's, but
I agree, Reggie. Whoops. I agree.
yeah,
As long as you got this is, like I said, this is huge for Quessy this season. As long as you nail those, you gotta nail those picks though. At least
uh,
walking away from this draft with at least 3 quality starting guys for your team in the future.
yep. Kevin with a great point here. Better chance of picking up quality veterans because it's a quality team, and you look at the poll that comes out every year. The Vikings are at the top of the list again
The
for ownership, for
desired
facilities, for coaching.
destinations.
The Vikings are a destination that players want to come here and play for. Kevin O'Connell has got the reputation in this league now of being a great coach to play for, great culture, great facilities. The ownership, doesn't skimp on shit.
Leading into that, this is a good question. I think it's a team thing too. As far as the organization goes, and that group of guys that run this team, like Flow and K, I think it's legitimately the communication is great between those guys. Ultimately, I think that Quessy has the final say as far as the draft goes and that, but I think the discussion that goes into getting each and every one of these guys, there's a lot that everybody gets their say. I think.
Well, and if there's a guy that KOC doesn't like or Beeflo doesn't like, they're not going to draft him.
Right.
Kevin O'Connell has made that comment, prior to last year when they're talking about quarterbacks and stuff. They were calling him the quarterback killer because, the way it sounds, the Vikings tried to draft or wanted to draft a couple of quarterbacks prior to last year, and KOC vetoed it because it wasn't a guy he wanted.
I think a big reason we got Addison was because of KOC's input that year.
Yeah.
But I think it truly has been as much of a team, organizational wise, and with the coaches and Quessy and the guys that make out the contracts. I truly believe that everybody has their say in it, and it's valued.
Yeah, absolutely. They talk the collaborative effort
Yes, collaborative
Every
is a great word for it.
every time that they go out, they're talking about this stuff. They're lockstep. Everybody's involved, like you said. Everybody's giving their input.
I don't
And
believe
if
there's very much animosity at all whatsoever in that building.
no, I don't think so. Now, if Quasey ends up having to be lame duck into this year without a contract, does that? I don't know then, but
I believe he gets signed to an extension either shortly after the draft or right before training camp. I believe it gets done before the regular season. If that's, and I think KOC is not
I
wrong.
think they want to see how he handles this, because it's a little bit of a sticky situation. Sticky situation might not be the right word for it, but the fact that we've only got 4 draft picks. How is he going to handle this? How is he going to manipulate things to try to get the best players he can get? Can he have another free agency class like he had last year? You pull in, a DJ Reed and a Jonathan Allen or Milton Williams and a Will Freeze. That goes a long way.
I think it's 95% chance at least that Quessy is going to be extended, unless something unforeseen completely shits the bed in the draft or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to get that extension.
Yeah. And I hate saying this because Vikings fans are no matter if Quasey's here for 30 years, they're going to keep harping on this. If he pulls another, you know, Hamilton Lewis Scene thing, that's not going to play well for him. Yeah, Grigson, that's a very good thing. Norris, I had a discussion with somebody earlier this week about that. Quasey actually, our friend Tony Bell was talking about this too. Was Quasey's a little bit more of a money guy. He of course he's a stock trader. He's all this other stuff. Ryan Grigson, is they're kind of lean on him for a little bit of personnel stuff. And Ryan Grigson's kind of a Rick Spielman. He got fired in Indy because he wasn't doing well as far as bringing in players and stuff like that. And I just hope that they're not leaning into him too much. AJ, I think the Vikings are going to be players in free agency. We
Oh
have
yeah,
to be.
yeah,
So
big
yes,
players.
I expect at least 2 splash signings.
Yes, yes.
God, Gary's just throwing the comments
He is.
out tonight. Very great job, Gary. Excluding the talented team, what should you guys say the best addition the Wilfs could bring in the near future? That's a good one. I mean, they just re-signed Kevin O'Connell, which I think was a huge priority. Getting Brian Flores back for another year is big. Facilities wise, there really isn't much.
Right. I love our owners. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a great question. I'm really my gears are turning in my head trying to think of something, and I think we're just fortunate to have the excellent ownership that we do, and that all goes back to the communication thing and this and the way they truly, I believe, since the Wilfs have bought the team, have wanted and strived for that Super Bowl trophy.
yep. And I know people talk about they're more concerned about or and we brought this up before too about them being scared to be bad because they're worried that the fans aren't going to show up and they're not going to make money or whatever. But deep down, the Wilfs are football fans. They always have been.
And they don't overstep their bounds. I don't
No,
believe where they want to get their hands involved in what goes on in the team. Truly believe it's the communication between them and whoever is running the team and what they think is best.
yeah, I mean they obviously have their input. It to me it's kind of like my job that I do. My real job. Our facility manager is one of those guys that lets you do your thing as long as you can give valid reasoning and explain your position and make the valid points as to why you want to do something. And I think that's a lot of, the same thing that happens here with the Vikings is that the Wilfs aren't afraid to green light, spending money on something. They've
Right.
proven
They've
that time and
always been
time
willing to
again.
open up their billfolds.
Yeah. And, they've never said, no, you can't go sign somebody because, it's going to push us up against the cap, or they'll say, can we make it work? And if you say, yes, we can make it work, and we think this guy's going to make a difference, they green light it.
And there's been times where these guys, the Wilfs have had their hands on really good teams. We just weren't able to get over the hump.
Yep.
Well,
this year was another prime example. We go freaking 14-3. And then, with a guy that everybody was predicting, we're going to win 6 games. We win 14 games. And then, of course, it ended in spectacular Vikings fashion where Sam Darnold remembered that he was Sam Darnold. And that's the thing to me, jumping back to Darnold real quick. We were supporting Darnold the whole way through the season. But I was hoping he had made that jump and turned that corner. But you can't discount those last 2 games in the bright light. I called him this
he
today,
wasn't the same guy he was all season.
No, I can't call him this today, and I think it's kind of fitting. It's Dollar General Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
He put up really good stats during the season. And then when it came down to it, when it mattered the most, he melted.
Yeah.
It wasn't throwing short of the sticks on 4th down against the Giants. It was overthrowing. It was.
He relied on the deep ball way too much and didn't look at the short to intermediate routes below.
Well, we talked about that before training camp and stuff like that, before McCarthy got hurt, that's where Darnold has always struggled, is that intermediate stuff. He's like kind of like Jeff George, just loves to throw the freaking ball
Accurate
deep.
football, yes, throw it deep. And that worked a lot of the times. But when it came down to it, when we needed him to make the plays that needed to get made, he didn't make them.
No, we broke down a few of those plays where, he held the ball for 5-6 seconds and, there were guys that were open all over the field and he wasn't seeing them. I don't know if he just didn't trust it or what, but Kirk Cousins is Dollar General. Yeah. No, he's Kohl's, not Dollar General. Thoughts on why we've never won the big one?
I think it's because we just haven't taken enough risks when it comes to getting a team put together that can win championships on a regular basis or make runs for a championship or be taken seriously. I don't know what it is, but it's hurt. It's hurt a lot as a fan.
Yeah.
Throughout all the years I've watched this team, and I wish I could give a really solid answer on that.
Yeah.
But
if we knew the answer, we'd be, the Vikings would hire us and we would go win. We go win Super Bowls instead of talking about why they can't win them on a podcast.
I think that we're just on the cusp, though. I think JJ McCarthy is going to be the beginning of something special here in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. I truly do. I feel really, really highly about what's going on in Minnesota right now as a Vikings fan.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson fumbled. Yeah, if you want to go back to 2009, yeah, all the other stuff aside, yeah, Adrian Peterson fumbled, 3 or 4 times in that game?
Yeah, and then people want to go back to Favre, but man, I gotta have respect for that guy. I have never in my life, as a football fan, seen the quarterback get so brutally beat down in a game and continue to get back up and get back up and get back up. I mean, I just couldn't believe
it. Very good point right there, Dave. That's a big reason. We've had a lot of good quarterbacks. We've had a lot of really good quarterbacks here. But just but guys that are just really, Warren Moon.
We haven't had a good we haven't had a true franchise quarterback since Fran Tarkenton, to be honest with you. You could kind of maybe throw Culpepper into that conversation.
Tommy Kramer to a point, but
right. But true franchise guys with that it factor that David just said.
You had 2009 Brett Favre. That's the closest thing. That if you want to make a blueprint for the kind of quarterback that's going to eventually win a Super Bowl here, it's 09 Brett Favre. If we'd have had Brett Favre 5 years earlier, we would have won a Super Bowl.
R2.
Yeah.
I believe in JJ McCarthy like that. I think,
and I was just that's what I was just going to bring up is JJ McCarthy with the way he loves the game and the way he plays reminds me of Brett Favre in that aspect, just from the personality standpoint. You know, that you see him one of the first guys down in the end zone celebrating with his teammates when somebody scores a touchdown. You know, players just naturally gravitate toward, you know, talking to some of the people who were at training camp last year when he was practicing, stuff like that. Players just gravitate towards the kid. The kid's a winner. He's lost 3 games since high school. Granted, that's not going to be sustainable in NFL, but you know, you have the people with the lazy narrative that
exactly
the freaking handoff merchant, and he can't. No, take what everybody that's a stupid, lazy narrative. It requires no research or anything else. The Michigan Wolverines had one of the best, if not the best, running game in college football. When you have a running game that you can just go out there and just run over anybody and everybody, you don't have to throw the ball 30 to 40 times a game. You go out there and you beat them into submission with the running game and you win games and you go win a national championship.
Yes.
But we saw it with McCarthy in college when they needed him to do it. 3rd and long, 4th down, stuff like that. That kid is cold-blooded.
He is. Ice running through his veins.
Yeah. And that's why I'm so excited to see JJ McCarthy play, and I'm so in on JJ McCarthy because I don't care what the lazy narratives say and everything else. I've watched enough tape on this kid and I've just seen this stuff with it. I believe in this kid.
Yes. I do too. It is JJ.
Michigan's pass blocking wasn't that great. That there's also that. But, you know, again, didn't need it to be because you could run down everybody's throat.
He's an assassin. McCarthy is.
Mm-hmm. No, I believe so too. And you know, I'm excited. We saw it just in that one game he played preseason. Yeah, he came out that first drive through an interception.
Looked like a rookie pick. Every bit like a rookie pick.
Yep. But the key thing, and you know, nobody really mentions this except, you know, people who have a little bit of rational thought to them. He learned from that, and he went out and threw what, 2 touchdowns?
Tossed 2 more touchdowns.
Tossed 2 touchdowns after that. He learned from that mistake, and he didn't do it again. That was a
finding open reads down the field.
Yeah. And he was hitting those short routes. He was hitting those, and that's where McCarthy thrived. I mean, look at use Colson Loveland a lot.
Yes. Hawkinson
is going to eat.
And there's a lot of haters on Hawkinson's bandwagon, right? A lot of haters hating on Hawkinson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's heard.
He's going to make people remember.
You cannot. I mean, yeah, okay. They have the thing with the contract thing before, 2 years ago where he was sick until he got his contract extension. But being out last year, you cannot fault him for that when Kirby Joseph took his fucking knee out.
Yeah.
Did the same thing to Tyler Higbee.
Come back on a redemption tour this year. And
yeah, I think so too. And he is going to be JJ McCarthy's best friend, I think.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are going to get their catches, obviously. And there's been talk about wanting to getting another wide receiver. And Cooper Kupp sounds like he's going to be released. I could see him coming in here as wide receiver 3. When they've been trying to trade him, wasn't. Now, Kupp is 32 years old. I mean, it's almost basically like bringing in Adam Thielen back again.
Yeah.
But
hey, Amanda.
What's that?
Oh, I had a fan. I had to say hi to.
Back again? Oh yeah, you're. Yeah, Brunswick is the teen heartthrob of the show here. So
Uh,
Jefferson on the mic with PA got him as JJ. Yep. No real time to develop chemistry. Hawk will be back. Yeah. But it goes back to the thing we talked about with Darnold before is Darnold doesn't throw well in the short to intermediate. And that's where your tight ends run.
we're gonna see. We're gonna have a lot. I mean, we had some wild plays with Sam Darnold, but I have a feeling that we're gonna see a lot more wild plays when it comes to JJ McCarthy.
And honestly, I don't care if you don't see those 70-yard bombs and whatever all else.
No, it's when you fit a throw between the smallest little window and you make that completion on throws like that, especially on a guy to have it throw, and you're like, wow, those type of plays.
Well, and just being steady all the way through the game and not going into witness protection program for the second and third quarters.
Right.
Because you are
9
able to
sacks in one game.
Yeah, because you're able to play that ball control kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, Kevin O'Connell likes to throw the ball downfield. We all know that. And we've got the horses to do that. But if you've got a guy that can work the middle of the field like McCarthy can do,
and while manipulating the pocket.
Right. And that's the thing. McCarthy's mobile. He can move around. I mean, Darnold was too, but we saw it, it reared its ugly head a few times
McCarthy
during the season.
The steady hand in McCarthy for sure.
Yeah. He may not throw for 5,000 yards and he may not, he's not.
It's going to take a lot to rattle the kid. I tell you that right now.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And the kid is determined. We saw it again, going back to college 2 years ago in the college playoffs when they lost to TCU. He came out afterwards. He said, this is unacceptable. We're coming back next year. We're winning the national championship. What'd they do? They went undefeated and won the national championship.
He strives for greatness.
Yeah. I mean,
not just for himself, but for the team that he's playing with around him.
They used it. He moved from Illinois to Florida just to play ball. Yep. Yeah, hit the like button. Thank you, Norris Vios. I forgot to bring that up. But yes. But yeah, I mean, they used McCarthy for recruiting at Michigan, and he would tell players, if you want to come to college to party and chase women and everything else, go somewhere else.
Yes.
If you want to come here and win national champion, or you want to play football and win national championships, come here.
People are going to be talking about JJ McCarthy like they do about Patrick Mahomes. I'm telling you, I've said it numerous times on this show, but he's going to be the greatest quarterback that we've had in Minnesota since Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, I think that's very possible, and I'm all in on this kid. Free agency, then draft my Christmas season. Yeah, Gary, I agree. I say this a lot. Sarah. I love it when Sarah comments. It's always good. But yeah, I mean, I've said this many times. I enjoy this part of the football year almost as much as I do the games itself.
Even with the bullshit fucking rumors that come out?
Well, that's starting to get on my fucking nerves, as those of you who are here at the beginning of the show saw. But I made this comment earlier days. I can't wait till fucking Wednesday when Sam Darnold signs with Seattle or the Titans or whoever, so we can just. And Aaron Rodgers has to go sign with somebody else too. I got into a fight with somebody about some Packers fans talking about, oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers can come. It's going to be very interesting to see when he comes to the Vikings. Man, he's not coming here. Oh, you don't know that. You don't work for the fucking team. Yeah, I do know that.
I do too.
I said, you don't need to work for the team to realize that the Vikings have no interest whatsoever in Aaron Rodgers.
Let's just waste away our rookie contract on our quarterback,
Right. Honestly, I don't think anybody should have any interest in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just needs to hang it up.
He does. He's washed. Gary's
birthday on Monday. Happy early birthday, Gary. We got to throw that out to the...
Right, we got to follow that up.
Hey, we're uncensored. That's why we love you guys.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Good stuff. But anyway, we've been going on for a little bit over an hour here. I want to hit one more thing before we call it a night. Lance, I want one or two splash players that you think will be a Viking by this time on next week.
Will Fries and Jonathan Allen.
Okay. I like Freeze. I think he will. But I will go. I think DJ Reed, and I think they're in on Milton Williams. I, we went after Christian Wilkins last year, and we had him all but signed, and then the Raiders came in at the very end and swooped in and took him. So they're not scared to go out, and we need somebody on that defensive line who can rush the passer.
I'm not against either of these either. Fries and Dahlman, Kelly and Fries. I'd be okay with that. But I think we're gonna make a splash on both sides of the trenches.
Yep,
I think we're
I
gonna
think
get a
so too.
splash on defensive line. I think we're gonna get a splash on the offensive line. And then, like I said, possibly pair it with a mid range guy that could elevate his play in a
Yep.
Ryan Kelly who is a steady hand or a Dahlman. But I think Dahlman's asking price is gonna be way too
Yeah,
much.
I mean, and I saw. I think it might have been our buddy Tyler Fornes that made this comp the other day that Drew Dahlman is just a better version of Garrett Bradbury. I mean, I like Dahlman. I like him a lot better than I like Bradbury.
What Bradbury should have been. Dahlman is what Bradbury should have been.
Yeah,
is what I'm going to look at.
But a decent Garrett Bradbury is not worth $20 million a year.
Look at Skull for Life Barber looking at that little hot take. I think
that is a hot spicy take. We'd have to trade for him, but they could trade a 2026 pick for him.
That I don't. Yeah, I don't know. That's something big to throw out there. I don't know about that.
See, but the thing we got to think of is, as Kwesi sits right now, he doesn't have a contract for 2026, so he might be more willing to throw those 26 picks out there.
That's true, but then, I mean,
I would take Sauce Gardner if you could get Sauce Gardner for a first. I'd do that in a heartbeat.
First round pick.
2026 first round pick. I'd do that.
Yeah,
but we can't.
People are going to bitch though. People would bitch, Rhino. People would bitch.
God, yeah, I know. But yeah,
that's just it. Exactly, Norris. That's just it. But is DJ Reed Sauce Gardner? No, he's not.
No, he's not. But DJ Reed is an upgrade over Stephon Gilmore.
There you go.
Gilmore played okay last year, especially for being 35 years old. But I think if you can sign I think Byron Murphy walks. I do.
Disgusting axe take on Dahlman. I value your takes there, disgusting act, and that, I agree. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I kind of fell into that trap with the Iowa kid last year.
Tyler Lindenbaum. They said that he was the next Garrett Bradbury, and he's fucking great.
Yeah, because they're a similar body type, but and I was wrong on that one.
It all comes back to what we've echoed, Rhino.
Yeah, it's leverage. The biggest man in the world can get pushed around like a rag doll if you don't have leverage. The smallest guy can push the big bastard all over the field if you can get that leverage.
Basic science right there. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
you can't get stood up. You cannot get stood up at the center position, especially across the offensive line. It's harder to compensate for those deficiencies when you don't have that anchor. If you get stood up as a center, your ass is going to get eaten.
Yep, and you get forklifted into the quarterback, which is what Garrett Bradbury's been doing for 5 years. Yes. Or however long he's been here.
So.
Gray Zabel, that's another guy that I love that kid. Of course, I'm a little biased, of course, because he's an NDSU kid, but Dave knows the round bellies, so I got him backing me up on there. Zabel, I think, is it would be a reasonable target for the Vikings at that area because he can play everywhere. He's played tackle. He's going to play guard or center in the NFL. Played center at the Senior Bowl and played really well. I mean, he was the practice player of the week at the Senior Bowl. I mean, the guy made himself money he's going to be a first round pick, I think.
We just need somebody at center that's not going to get stood up, like we said, every single fucking play when it's a pass play, it seems like.
Yep. And that's the thing. You got to be able to build that pocket at the begin, around in the front there, because when that thing collapses, it doesn't matter if you have Patrick Mahomes, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, JJ McCarthy, or whoever in there. If that pocket collapses
the
on
quarterback
top
is over the center.
Yeah. Can Zabel? I think he can, Ant. If not, he's going to be a damn good guard.
At the end of the day, we're going to address the interior of that offensive line with the free agency. It's going to happen.
Yeah, at least you bring in at least one guard. Now, what I would do, and this is just me, I'm going to go a couple different scenarios here. I know we're going a little long, but that's fine.
That's fine. I think everybody's enjoying themselves.
On the offensive side of the things, I would bring in like a Will Freeze, and then I would draft a guy like a Zabel or somebody, the guy out of Alabama. I forget his name right now.
I think Zabel's going to go higher than some believe he is, just because of the way
Zabel's going to go in that early 20s, I think, right about where we're picking. But you do that, and then you take Blake Brandel and you make, he's under contract. You have Brandel be the backup. I know people say, well, he played great when Darisaw was in there. And it's the same argument.
Best game was the first game of the season, in my opinion.
But that argument with Brandel is the same argument that they use with Garrett Bradbury. Garrett Bradbury is going to play better if you have better guards around him. Okay, if you have to
rely on that fact. You cannot rely on that fact because it's going to ruin you every time.
If you have to have better players than you next to you to make it so you're not horse shit, then you shouldn't be a starter.
Exactly.
I'm not even opposed. Bradbury's on a reasonable contract. I'm not opposed to, although if you cut him, you clear some.
I want guys that can do their fucking job without having to be picked up by somebody else.
Right. But I would be okay keeping Bradbury as the backup center for a year. If you're bringing in a rookie, if you think Zabel is a guy who can play center for you or whoever it might be. But honestly, I would go with a Ryan Kelly or somebody like that at center. And then you clear the cap space. And it
would be a huge help to McCarthy, your rookie quarterback, having somebody right in front of you that's been there, done that, and can do it at a high level.
The veteran presence. I mean, Ryan Kelly's been there, done that, been through the ringer. I mean, he's smart, he's experienced,
and he can do the job.
Yep.
Smart and experienced. Bradbury has it all. He has the smarts. He has
and that's why they like Bradbury, is because he's smart and he can. Then go be a coach, because you can't play you can call the plays and you can get everybody lined up, but you can't do it because if you go up against anybody who's more than just a marginal defensive tackle, he gets forklifted.
This interior offensive line has been neglected for far too long.
Yeah. But, finally Kevin O'Connell came out and said at the end of the season that the interior offensive line's a problem.
And I think our offensive line has been overrated the last couple of years. People want to say we're in the upper half of the league in the offensive line. I don't agree with that at all.
No, I don't either. Okay, so that's my scenario on the interior offensive line I want to do. Now I've got another scenario in the secondary. So first off, I go get DJ Reed, if we can get him. This is assuming Byron Murphy walks, which I think he's going to.
I believe so too.
Then you bring back Shaq Griffin to play the other side on another like a 1-year deal. And then you go draft. This would have to be using your first round pick. You go and get Jahdae Barron out of Texas. And
I believe Barron could play safety or corner. I'd like to see him corner.
Yeah, I mean he's going to project as a slot cornerback in the NFL, and that's you go get somebody like him on a rookie deal versus paying Byron Murphy $22 million. watching tape on Jahdae Barron, I've watched quite a bit of it.
I have a good write up for that kid when we do corners for sure.
But he looks the part. He would be a perfect replacement for Byron Murphy. I
He
think
plays very smart. He's not very handsy, but he plays physical in spite of that. And when he does use his hands, it's a smart use of his hands.
He's got a lot of Antoine Winfield to him, I think.
And he's got some swagger too.
Yeah, I mean he's bigger than Winfield. You know, Winfield
not
is
afraid
5'9",
to hit,
but
not afraid to hit.
And he's a ball hawk. The guy is had like
I got a great write up for this kid when we cover corners.
Yep. So we won't get into that now because we'll save the cornerbacks for a couple weeks. We'll start the draft breakdowns and stuff after this wave of free agency. We'll have a better idea. He may be
my draft crush this year, Rhino. You know how I got that one draft crush every year.
Well,
last year was my draft crush. Now
I told you that 2 weeks ago when we first started looking at cornerbacks. Yep. Cornerbacks would be the first group that we look at.
So he was the first guy I went and looked at, and right away
I told you right off the get go. I said my early guy I like is Jahdae Barron. Now, if you're looking for an outside guy, I like Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. The hip injury kind of worries me a little bit, but that guy before that hip injury was one of the best corners in college football.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get into that later. We've been going on for a lot longer than I thought we were going to go to. What's that?
Almost an hour and a half.
Yep. But still got 54 people sitting here watching after an hour and 17 minutes. Want to give
right.
Yeah. Want to give a big thanks to you guys. Shit. We've been a lot of good conversation in the chat. A lot of great questions, great discussion. Thank you guys all for
these commenters are just as much a part of our show as we are doing.
Absolutely, it might be Vikings. That's why it's not the Rhino and Brunswick show.
We try to initiate conversation with you guys every week, and if we didn't have you, we wouldn't have much of a show. So I mean,
I really think this show turned a corner when we went to live shows instead of doing.
It did.
And not tooting our own horn, but it brought you guys into the discussion so much more. Yes, thank you, Dave. If you haven't done so, hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe, and keeps you updated on whatever.
We don't ask for your money to comment either, to put it up on the broadcast.
Yeah, because YouTube won't monetize us, so we're not asking for that. We're just asking for your likes and your follows. Those are free.
Right.
So
I'll take that any day of the week.
Absolutely. But with that, thank you guys all so very much again for sticking with us off our 2-week hiatus. One of our better crowds so far this year watching tonight. So thank you guys again. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes, all the discussion as always. We couldn't do this show without you, like Lance said. So thank you guys. And with that, why don't you take us home, Lance?
So like I said, I look for greatness in the coming years from this Minnesota team. And that all starts with the guy that's, I believe, is officially this team's quarterback, and that's J.J. McCarthy. I am extremely excited for what's coming up. And with that being said, we'll see y'all next week. Keep your eyes on the social media pages, and we'll let you know when we're going to go next week.
Probably be Saturday next week.
Yep. Saturday sounds good to me.
Saturday 9 p.m.
We should have a great look at where we're going in free agency.
Yeah, the waves will be over, and we will have a lot to talk about.
If there's anything really exciting, I'm sure Rhino will hop on Facebook or wherever to give his opinion based on what kind of moves we make. So look for that as well. Aubrey and Millie, if you're out there watching, Dad loves and misses you. Skull.
Have a good weekend, everybody.